Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Bolts Breakdown. Brian Burns, beat writer for TampaBayLightning.com. Jay Recher, 95.3 WDAE. I feel like we're kind of short today. Gotta move up a little bit. Here we go. Slide up. There we go. So we don't look like we're so far away. That's better. I don't know if you want these ugly mugs on. Yeah, but, it's not too bad. They haven't gotten rid of us yet, Burnsy, so I think we're good. Again, Brian Burns, beat writer, TampaBayLightning.com. Jay Recher, 95.3 WDAE. You know how we do it here on Bolts Breakdown. Before we get into tonight's game against their Atlantic Division rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they got a couple of rivals in the Atlantic Division, but that's definitely one of them. Let's look back to Saturday night's game against the Detroit Red Wings. And Burnsy, before we get into the game, give us an update on the injuries. We saw, obviously, a different kind of lineup. We've seen Jan Rutta make his debut. You see Ryan Callahan inserted back into the lineup. What to make of those injuries, and then the guys that either got back into the lineup for the first time in a while or made their first appearance with the Bolts?
Yeah, I haven't really heard anything new on those guys other than day-to-day. I think it's Girardi and Strawman, both with the lower body injury, Adam Ernie with the upper body injury. Of those guys, I mean, I think Girardi, Strawman probably just nicked up from the wear and tear of the season.
Yeah.
So even with the rotation, still got to bring one guy up. Jan Rutta came up, did pretty well.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice him in the game. John Cooper kind of said
That's
the
a good
same thing after
Yeah.
the game. Yeah, no glaring mistakes or anything. He was just back there moving pucks, doing what he had to do defensively. Lightning played well defensively, so you can't pin anything on him as far as being a weak link or anything like that. So I think a pretty successful debut for Rutta. Ryan Callahan comes back in and does his thing when he gets back into the lineup, provides a lot of energy, provides a lot of hitting. That fourth line, you look at it, it was Yanni Gourde, Cedric Paquette, Ryan Callahan. That's a pretty good fourth line when you look at it, as opposed to what they had been going with Joseph and Adam Ernie. So I think either way you go there, it's looking pretty good and kind of speaks to the Lightning's depth. Should know, I guess they have a morning skate today. I would imagine we'll probably start hearing something from Cooper. Usually those are around 11:30 when they start, so maybe news will start trickling out. If either of those three guys will be back in. Not really sure. Adam Ernie, it looked like in the previous game, looked like he blocked a shot. It might have hit his hand,
Yep.
so don't know if there's something there that is going to necessitate him taking a little bit more time to get back into the lineup, but we should know a little bit something, if not now on Twitter, probably, by warm-ups, whether or not either of those three guys will be back in.
And Kaylee Chelios is with the team, so
Yeah.
we always tell you guys to follow Kaylee when we're doing this, and we're not with the team. We're not at home at Amalie Arena, or Burnsy hasn't traveled on the road with them, so make sure you follow Kaylee. She has all the the news and notes for the Bolts at Kaylee Chelios. I think it doesn't get easier than that.
Yeah.
We got to see is Brian Burns taken?
Yeah.
We got to try to find it.
I'm B. Burns NHL, which Brent Burns is probably like, what the heck, man?
You took his too, but at Brian Burns, we got to go find that guy and see if he's willing to give it up. As always, we want to hear from you, like Evgeny Yaramov. Hello from Portland, Oregon. Go Bolts. Always let us know where you're watching Bolts Breakdown from there at the bottom of the screen. Share this on your Facebook and also give us a shout on. Let us know. You okay?
You guys forget to pay the air conditioning bill?
I know.
What's going on in here? It's a
hot.
bit warm.
The spotlights are on us for sure, especially when you're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is what happens. The spotlight is on you. The other night, obviously, the big story, too, Nikita Kucherov setting the record-breaking Vinny Lecavalier's record for points in a season for a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you just look at his goals. One of them was in front of the net. I can't believe Detroit let him just stand there.
Yeah.
And the other one was just a turn and fire. But you got to give Cooch credit. I mean, this is arguably the best single-season performance we've seen from a Lightning player, as evidenced by the points. But, my gosh, every night it seems like he's doing something to help this team win. It's been an incredible performance this year.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I was reading some of the comments from Detroit's head coach Jeff Blasio after the game, and he's rightly so said it was kind of a so-so game from Kucherov, and he's like, I imagine John Cooper would say the same thing, where it wasn't one of his best games, and here he is scoring 2 goals, has the game-winning goal. That's kind of what we've come to expect from Nikita Kucherov, and somewhat off night is a 2-goal night, another multi-point performance for him, is NHL leading 33rd of the season, and then Vinny Lecavalier, I mean, the guy's like, I'm about to lose 2 of my records tonight. He lost the single season scoring record. Then Stamkos tied him, or thought he tied him for most goals in Lightning history, number 383, but that one came back. It was deemed to be offside, which in retrospect looked like it was the right call. Puck just came out. before Mikhail Sergachev was able to keep it back in the zone, and the Lightning eventually scoring on that play. But yeah, I mean, what more can you say about Nikita Kucherov? I thought it was interesting, his comments after the game. He doesn't give a lot of comments.
No, he doesn't.
He definitely tends to shy away from media attention, doesn't want the spotlight put on him.
It is a little better this year, though.
Yeah, he's got a little better. I think his English is a lot better, and he understands a lot more. When you hear his answers, you can tell he's understanding what he wants to say, and I think that was a big problem in the past. He was always worried he was going to say something that maybe he didn't quite mean, or something was going to get lost in translation. And especially on TV, the guys, they don't like to have the TV cameras on them because if they mess up and it's just a bunch of print guys around, then they can just be like, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Move on.
And people won't write about it.
Right, and then when it's on TV, you're kind of on the spot.
There's no going back from that.
You can't hit the erase button and rewind and go back and do it all over again. So definitely gotten a lot more comfortable, but listening to him talk about it was a big deal for him and his family. He doesn't often say that. Usually when the questions come, what does it mean to hit 100 points? What does it mean to get 75 assists?
Because he deflected that 100. I remember when Eric asked him, Eric Erlinson from Lightning Insider.
He's like, next question.
Next question.
He doesn't want to talk about it. If you ask him, what about Andrei Vasilevsky's performance? He'll go on for 30 minutes, which is a long quote from him about how good Vazzy is. So he likes to deflect and shine the spotlight on some of his teammates, and he's kind of the guy like, I'm just here to help my team win. So
gotta love it.
More of those comments from him after that game, but he talked about how it was special for him and his family, which a lot of people don't know. He has a young son that was born, I don't know exactly when, but he's probably about 5-6 months old now. So Cooch is a little bit of a family man now.
Yeah, how about that?
Is doing it for the family, so it's good to hear those comments from him.
Doing it for the family. That's Bryan. I'm Jay. You're here on Bolts Breakdown. We always want to hear from you. Let us know where you're watching from, like Bill Voss watching in New Lebanon, Ohio. Thanks for watching, Bill. Also, Sue Pioni. Go Bolts. So happy to be watching this history-making season from Seminole. Bobby Dignard, we'll get to you in a second. Let's see. Linda Husky, happy for Cooch. Angie Carice, hi from Ontario, Canada. Wonder if you're going to the game tonight. Shout out to everybody at Mackenzie Sports Tavern. Thank you very much. Mary and Roy Stokes. I wonder if that's a full first name, Mary and Roy, or is it a couple sharing? That's interesting. And Evgeny, we mentioned you from Portland. If you have any questions for us, let us know. Shout out to Casey Cam and Navarre and Alex Parker from Portland, Oregon. If you have any questions for Bryan and myself, feel free to put them there at the bottom of the screen. We'll answer. Our good buddy Bobby Dignard wanted to know, how do you respond to the NBC commentator who said the Bolts are underachievers? I didn't hear the comment. I don't know who said it. I don't necessarily agree with it because you can call
it overachievers.
Overachievers? Okay, yeah, overachievers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but
I don't know.
I mean, do you look at the guys because they weren't highly touted first-round picks? I mean, outside of Stammer, I mean, I don't know how you could say that when you have Stammer and Hetty on the team that were both top picks. So I don't know how you could be overachievers. It's not like this is a kind of a team with a bunch of unsigned. I know there is guys that they were found deeper in the draft, but I mean, they're still overachievers. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah,
Sergachev, he's a top pick too.
I mean, I guess if they have the season that they're having, they continue to finish it off, on the same pace that they're on right now, and then they go into the playoffs and they don't win a Stanley Cup, then I think you could say they were like regular season overachievers.
Yeah. But still, I mean, there was a lot of people coming into the season that thought, and this is nationally, that this team was a Stanley Cup contender. So I don't know if maybe the extent of how good they are maybe is a little bit of a surprise, but as far as them being first in the NHL, I think a lot of people had them pegged at the top of at least the division, if not the conference and the entire league.
Yeah, maybe just the point discrepancy and just how far ahead in front of the rest of the NHL they are.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. Alex Parker, the part I get annoyed with is when we turn the puck over on our end and it sets up easy shots for the opponent.
And every other fan of the 30 other NHL teams in the NHL.
It's just the way it goes. And I know people kind of
happens.
You get to nitpick a little bit, but that's how a lot of other teams get the scoring chances like that. Just the way it goes. And I know going forward, that's one of the things that they have to clean up. And down the stretch, you're going to really be able to tell what the issue is defensively, if there is an issue defensively, because they're going to be playing some good teams here down the stretch. When you play Toronto, tonight, and then another game coming up, and then Boston a couple more times, then you have Washington. So there's some good games ahead of us. Raul Springer, Jay and Bernsey, what's up, guys? Hope we rock the Leafs tonight. You got that right. And Bobby says, NBC doesn't often say that. Do you think they use it as motivation? I don't think so. I mean,
no, I think like every fan base in the world thinks that no one talks up their team or that announcers are out to get their team.
Yeah,
they have
that's
a
just the way
bias
it
against
is.
our team. I'm from West Virginia. I think everybody in West Virginia feels that way.
Mhm.
I had an aunt. That's a little bit of an aside. We had bad service at a restaurant, and she goes, "They must have seen our West Virginia license plate in the parking lot." I'm like, "What are you
I don't think
talking
so.
about? Like, no one cares where you're from or any of that stuff." So
Yeah.
people just use those things and think that there's some hidden bias against their team.
Not
NBC talks up the Lightning plenty. There's a lot of love for the Lightning nationally.
Yeah,
right
without
now.
a doubt, especially guys like Jeremy Roenick and Anson Carter. And
Yeah.
I know how much Pierre Maguire, if he's not gushing over, the Penguins, then yeah, he definitely loves them for sure. Alan Brown wants to know, what's the chance Coop gets the Jack Adams? I was on Lightning Lunch with Eric Erlinson the other day, and I was actually misquoted on Twitter saying that I didn't think Coop brought enough to the team. That definitely was not what I said. What I said was that a lot of times the coach of the year goes to the coach of the team that's kind of overperformed over the year rather than the guy that's the coach of the best team. And with that rationale, you have to think that Barry Trotz, from one of the worst teams in the league with the Islanders, going to a first-place finish in the Metropolitan Division. To me, I think he's done the best job this year. Not taking anything away from John Cooper. I think he will be a finalist, but you have to look at a guy like that or a guy like Bill Peters in Calgary or maybe possibly the job Craig Berube's done in St. Louis or maybe Rob Brindamore in Carolina. There's some of the, it's more of the kind of the people that have overachieved. I guess, that seems to be part of the theme today. The coach of the team that's overachieved rather than the coach of the team that's the best. And like Casey Cam is saying, managing stars is much more difficult. I mean, it's tough because there's no real way to gauge that. You know, how do you? I think there's other years if you don't have any team that's kind of blowing it out of the water, then you look at it and go, okay. Then you'll give it to the coach of the best team. But if not, then it's going to a guy like Barry Trotz or Peters or a guy like Rob Brindamore or Berube.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting vote because I think in most seasons Barry Trotz would probably be the runaway winner.
Yep.
Just for the job that he's done first year with the Islanders and that what they came from last year, how bad they were defensively to what they are now. How poor their goaltending situation was in previous seasons to what it is now. He's done a magnificent job with that team. But having said that, John Cooper's got the Lightning clearly by
historic pace too,
yeah,
especially with all the injuries.
I think
too.
if they finish with like 62 wins and they tie the Red Wings for the most wins ever in an NHL season, it's going to be pretty hard to pass him up for that award, as well as Barry Trotz has done with the New York Islanders. So I think. It depends on the historic levels that this Lightning team finishes the regular season with. I could definitely see them going John Cooper if they do something that really hasn't been done in the NHL before. It's going to be hard to keep it away from him.
Yeah, if they go on, let's say they go on like another 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or something like that. But
especially like this last stretch of the year, really difficult
good
games. They finished strong here, and it's going to be hard to keep him from winning that award.
Bryan Burns, beat writer, TampaBayLightning.com. Jay Recher, 95.3 WDAE. Again, let us know where you're watching Bolts Breakdown from. And if you have any questions, feel free to put it there at the bottom of the screen. Burnsy, let's look forward to tonight's game north of the border against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's going to be it's never a boring affair when these two teams get on the rink, and especially with how much better Toronto is this year, adding a guy like John Tavares and Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and those guys kind of taking their game to the next level. What's your three keys to victory for the Bolts tonight?
Yeah, I mean, for me, we alluded to it earlier, 13 games left in the regular season. A lot of really difficult games coming up in that stretch. The Lightning have split with the two other best teams in the Atlantic so far. Toronto, they split with. Boston, they split with. Really want to see the Lightning kind of establish that Atlantic Division dominance, really put themselves head and shoulders above where Boston is, where Toronto is right now. After the last game in Boston, the Lightning got outplayed pretty much the whole game. Lost 4-1. Louis Domingue, outstanding in goal, was a third star, even though he gave up 4 goals just because of how well he played. He said, we need to go out and show teams that we're head and shoulders above everybody else and let the rest of the NHL know that they can't compete with us. I'd like to see that kind of mentality going into this game. You got 2 games left against Toronto. You got 2 games left against Boston. I'd like to see you win 3 out of those 4 games and really just kind of establish yourself as that top dog in the Atlantic. Because right now, Boston and Toronto, they're having pretty good seasons.
Yeah, they are.
Been a bit overshadowed by what the Lightning have been able to do in the Atlantic. But Those two teams are like right there fighting for like second best team in the NHL right now behind the Lightning. So you're going to play one of those teams probably in the second round of the postseason. I think it would be good right now. Remember last year they played Boston, lost 3 games in the regular season, got handled in all 3 of those games,
crushed,
and then came back in that 4th regular season game, the final one that they had against the Bruins, and had a really good performance. And I think that was very important for them to get that confidence, to know that they could beat the Bruins going into the playoffs, and they get into that second round series and are able to finish them off in 5. So I think something similar this year. Just really want to see them kind of establish a dominance over Toronto and Boston going into the playoffs. Number 2 for me. Probably going to have limited power play opportunities in this game. Toronto tops in the league right now for least amount of penalty minutes per game. The Lightning have scored 2 power play goals against Toronto so far this season, only 7 opportunities. So probably some limited chances when the Lightning do get on the power play. Really need to take advantage of those 1 or 2 that they get, because they might not get another one. And then third for me, just want to continue to see energy from that 4th line. I just really like. And I'm assuming Adam Ernie's probably not going to be in tonight. I'm assuming it's probably going to be the same 4th line with Callahan, Ernie, and potentially Yanni Gord again.
Paquette.
What did I say? Ernie.
Yeah,
Paquette. Those 3, I just really want to. And Gordo, we know he brings the energy. Ryan Callahan, he's going to have plenty of energy. Cedric Paquette's going to have. He's going to be looking for someone to hit on that first shift and really send a message throughout the game. So I want to see the Lightning generate some energy from that 4th line. Some punch from that 4th line, and just let that permeate through the rest of the team. Everybody else draw your energy from that 4th line.
If the playoffs start now and Boston takes on Toronto, who would you give the edge in that series? It's tough.
I got to go Boston.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Eric Erlinson about this the other day on Lightning Lunch, and he gives it to Toronto because he thinks John Tavares makes that much of a difference. But I just think the experience of a team like Boston and going out and getting Coyle and Johansson, I know he's banged up, but I just feel like Boston is kind of, they're riding that wave right now. Some people are saying they're possibly peaking too early, but they have enough veterans on that team to realize what it takes to do what, to understand how you have to play come playoff time. They're going to get Pasternak back, so I think that's a big coup for them. It's crazy to think how well they've been playing without arguably their best player. So I'm with you. I think Boston, the edge over Toronto, but that should be a good series, and it's going to be a war of attrition, and you know what that team's going to get. Hey, congratulations, you won. You get to probably play the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Somebody asked what you think the best draw is for the Lightning. I don't really think it matters.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
If you look at regular season results, Columbus, they've owned Columbus
but it's
now
tough
for.
Like sometimes you look at
a different team, though.
Yeah, but then the playoffs are different. And somebody also asked, is this team built for the regular season, not the playoffs? I don't think you can really know, man. You don't know until the playoffs happen.
What does that even really mean?
Yeah, and then there's been throughout the year where the Lightning have played teams well and then stunk against them in the playoffs and vice versa. So you really don't know. You don't know, and that's why they play the games. My one guy to watch today, Nazem Kadri, missed about 7 or 8 games with a concussion. He's back in the lineup. He is that depth scorer when you're looking at how do you get past Marner and past Tavares and past Matthews. Who's those next couple guys? Who's the other guy? Janssen or Johansson or Janssen, whatever, that guy on the team as well has been playing really well. I don't know why I can't think of his name. It's Monday, people. Deal with me. But there's some good players on this team outside of those top guys. So I think Kadri's a guy that's always played well against the Lightning. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that really likes to go to those dirty areas, and it's just really difficult to play when you're playing the Lightning defense. So keep an eye on Nazem Kadri. I think it's a guy that you really, really have to keep an eye out for. All right. Let's take 1 or 2 more questions. Is Jan Ruda playing against tonight, or is it Strawman or Girardi? It looks like we don't know for sure, Bernsey, but it'll probably be Jan Ruda.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say it'd be Ruda again. I don't know if it's kind of a quick turnaround for Strawman and Girardi. Mm-hmm. There's 2 days off between this, tonight's game and then the Thursday night's game against Detroit, so it might be a good time in that little stretch there to get one of those 2 guys back. But should know something more, if not right now on Twitter, check out Kaylee Chelios, but probably know a little bit more in warm-ups tonight.
And we'll answer this question like we do all the time. Which free agent do you see leaving next season? Point being number 1. I think we've said this probably 47,752 times here on Bolts Breakdown. Braden Point ain't going anywhere. Just not going to happen, man. All the things that they've done to try to make sure that the salary cap is in the position where it is right now. You sign Yanni Gord. You're not going to sign Yanni Gord and not sign Braden Point. Right? I mean, that's got to be...
I think on the blue lines,
not taking anything away from Yanni Gord.
Yeah, I think on the blue lines, probably where you're going to see, they got Coburn, Girardi, Strawman, they all come up, unrestricted free agency after this season.
You wouldn't be surprised if this is Girardi's last year.
Yeah.
You never know out of any of those three guys. But
of the three, I think Strawman probably the best chance to come back.
Yeah.
And Coburn's, he's played well. He
has.
He really kind of had a little bit of a resurgence towards the end of last season. So you never know if he's got another year or two left in the tank. And I think a lot depends on Cal Foote. Is he going to be, ready to come up? I don't know that he's ready for like an extended role next year. But maybe
who's to say? We said the same thing about Chernak last
we really
year, though.
Didn't know. So,
yeah. Who knows?
But you look at what the Lightning have, and I really like the Hedman-Sergachev pairing the other night. Maybe a little glimpse into the future than the McDonough-Chernak pairing at number 2. I mean, you've got a good mix of like all-star caliber, experienced veteran defenseman with young, up-and-coming potential all-star of the future defenseman. I mean, those top 2 pair, I think those 4 are going to be, you're going to see that pairing or those 2 pairs for a long time in a Lightning uniform.
Bryan Burns, beat writer for TampaBayLightning.com. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at BBurnsNHL. Follow the team at Tampa Bay Lightning. Go to TampaBayLightning.com for the best news and notes. Any stories this morning?
Yeah, not today.
Not today.
On the road. I'll take
they're
today
on the
off.
road. He's going to take the day off. Follow me at Recher. Follow the station at 95.3 WDAE. Go to 95.3WDAE.com for the best Bolts coverage. The game tonight will be on Fox Sports Sun, so make sure you go check that out there. And it's also up the dial on our sister station, News Radio WFLA. I'm hosting a Lightning watch party tonight at American Social. There's going to be a ton of people there, so get there early. I'm leaving right after the show today and heading right over to American Social. So make sure you go over there and check us out. All right, we're going to take a couple days off. We'll be back Thursday, right?
That's correct.
Thursday is the day. That's Bryan. I'm Jay. We'll see you next time right here on Bolts Breakdown.